We now come to one of the earliest letters in the New Testament, and as a boy, it did give me some confusion, but it wasn't what I call a difficult letter to understand. I rejoiced in the early chapters where he said, "If any man lack wisdom, let him come unto God who will give it, but let him do it in faith." I enjoyed the godliness passage which comes through that book as well. I even enjoyed reading about controlling the tongue because I was tongue tied, and now I was speaking like anything, and the tongue had a fascination to me in the book of James. The book of James is a practical book. He's concerned that people who say they believe demonstrate it in action. In other words, faith and love go together, faith and deeds go together, faith and good works go together, faith and kindness go together. You're not justified by faith if faith doesn't do something to you. That's what James is saying. Maybe Paul would put that in a different way, but Paul did not contradict James. Paul wanted godliness, because that's why Paul talks about sanctification and holiness and purity so much. He wants the life that reaches out. That's why Paul would talk about brotherly love so often and the love for each other. That's why he would talk about faith, hope, and love. He was saying the same thing, but the emphasis is different. And the emphasis that James is saying, wake up, do your good deeds. And he is concerned not only with the rich doing good things, and he's concerned with that. He's very clear about those that have money, their responsibility, those who've been trusted with wealth, those who somehow are more successful in life. And I have found that the people who are more successful in life, there's an opportunity that was there that may not have been there later, and they may not have been successful if they didn't take the opportunity. Sometimes with some people, it's been 3 or 4 bankruptcies before they become successful. I know people who have been bankrupt and have never become successful. Never become successful. If you say life is not fair on this, I agree with you. Success is a peculiar thing. But what is it James wants you and me to understand? It's not the wisdom of being successful and rich. If you're rich, you've got responsibilities. It's if you've got a group and if somebody comes in and calls it a synagogue, maybe they did have synagogues in the Jewish church. He calls it a synagogue anyway. I'm not sure if he's using the synagogue because they've come into a synagogue, taken over the synagogue, or whether it's using the phrase simply as a transfer to the Christian fellowship in the home. Synagogues, many of them were like homes, 2 or 3 houses put together, making a synagogue. Now, what he is saying is this, that wisdom doesn't come from the world, or from being successful, or from being more knowledgeable, and you shouldn't have people coming in to your group and you saying, please don't come and sit there. That's for the people who know things or are things, the better people. Treat everybody the same. And this is the verse he gives to you. He says, who is wise and understanding among you? Some of them were wise and understanding in spiritual things among you. But now he adds this to them. Let him show it. What? Wise and understanding. What wisdom are you talking about? What understanding are you talking about? By his good life, by deeds done in humility that comes from wisdom. So, he's used wisdom in 2 ways. You have wisdom and you have understanding. Okay, good. Now demonstrate it by your good life, your moral good life, your life of righteousness and grace, your life of compassion and tenderness. By your life. Show it by your life. And then he adds, and your deeds. Don't say when people come to you, oh, the Lord bless you, I'm going to pray for you. Do something. I would say that sometimes we have prayer meetings for desperate needs somewhere else and very seldom do anything about it. Oh, it may raise a few pounds, but it doesn't really hurt us that much. What he's saying, do your deeds, do the deeds. And when you do them in the humility. Don't show off. Don't say, oh, what a good person I've done. I've just helped that person out. That's a tendency of weakness in us all. They've been with us since the beginning of time. We can deceive ourselves so quickly on these things. And what he wants is humility. One of my regular prayers before God is for humility. And I'm still praying it. I'm in my 80s and I'm still praying to be humble before the mighty hand of God. And I use that phrase, before the mighty hand of God. And that mighty hand is a kind hand. Can be a heavy hand, of course, but it's a kind hand. I've experienced this kindness again and again and again, as I have its discipline from time to time as well. To humble myself under the mighty hand. I'm 82 and I still haven't got humility. Even saying that is a sign of pride that I haven't got my humility. Who is wise and understanding among you? Let him show it by his good life, by deeds done in the humility that comes from wisdom. James, be practical. Have a good day. Boy in his Bible.